Hello everyone, Mike Rempel from Another Set of Eyes with today's Excel Bytes blog post. Recently we did a post on the offset function, and we used it to create a table, or I'm sorry, a list from a table, and we used 6 different functions: the offset, mod, row, counter, roundup, and rows, and we're able to create this list from this table using those functions and by dragging that formula down. Today we're going to take a look at a variation of this. And here we have a table, and basically what we want to do is take each of the headers of the columns and concatenate it with each of the items that are in each column to create basically this list here, where you have object 1 AA, object 1 BB, CC, etc. Then skip over to object 2 right down the line. So how we're going to do that is use the pivot table wizard. Now, the pivot table wizard, oddly enough, is not listed in the ribbon at all. So you really only have 2 ways of accessing it. One way is to add it to your quick access toolbar, and you can do that by going to the File menu, to Options, and Quick Access Toolbar. Change the list up here to All Commands, and then go down into the P's and look for the pivot table and pivot chart wizard here and add it to your quick access toolbar, which you see I've done here. Excuse me. And here's my icon right there for the pivot table and pivot chart wizard. The alternative to that is using the keyboard shortcut Alt plus D plus P. So if I hit Alt DP, it brings up the pivot table and pivot chart wizard. So we're just going to take it from here, and we're going to select multiple consolidation ranges and say next. And then I'm going to pick I will create the page fields, and again say next. Now it wants my range, so I'm going to highlight this range. Notice how I've added row numbers, and that's going to possibly become valuable later on. So I've highlighted that range, and I'm going to put add here. I'm going to leave it as 0 in terms of the page fields and say next, and we're going to put this on a new sheet, and what it's going to do is create a pivot table. So I'll say OK, and now here's a pivot table with the objects and the row numbers. And what I'm going to do now is double click on the grand total, and it creates another sheet and creates a list here. Excuse me. Next thing I'm going to do is sort them by the object. So I'm just going to click this down arrow, sort A to Z, and now I have object 11111 with the items that were in there, and then 2, etc. So all I need to do now is concatenate those, and I'm going to put a space in between, hit enter, and now I've created my list. If I hit Shift Control down, I'm going to copy that, go over to my other sheet, right click, do paste special and values, and I've basically created that list. And just to double check, I'm going to do equals this equals that, and I get a true, copied all the way down, and it's all true. So I basically created a list of taking the heading and concatenating it with each item in that column, jumping over to the next column, etc. Okay? Now, let's say we have some columns that have different quantities of items in them. So I've just added a few more rows, adding a couple items under object 2 and object 4. We're going to use the basic same scenario here. I'm going to use my keyboard stroke Alt DP. I'm going to select multiple consolidation ranges, say next. I will create my page fields, next again, highlight my range, add it, say next, and I'll put it on a new worksheet and say finish. Creates a very similar pivot table like we had before. I'll double click on my grand total here, and now it's created that similar list. I'll sort this A to Z, And the only other thing I'll do then is go into this field and I'll uncheck blanks. So now it eliminated all the rows where there were blank values from that table. I'll do the same thing by concatenating the items. And because it's a table, it automatically filled that all the way down. I'll highlight this, copy it, go over to my list here, and paste special, paste values, and now I've created a list very similar. It's going to be a few items longer, 4 items longer, because we've added 4 more items here. But I've created that list of taking the heading, concatenating it with each item in the list, and putting it in the order that I wanted. And there you have it. Hope you liked it. Hope you find that useful. Just a different approach to creating a list with the headers, concatenating them with the individual objects. Thanks for stopping by, and if you'd like to see more, please feel free to go to my website, excel-bytes.com, and I hope you subscribe. Happy excelling.